Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the royals. We end with our weekly feature, The Comments of the Week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 169. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we were off for a couple weeks because of the award season, and we'll probably be off next weekend because it's the Oscars, and we won't have a podcast unless something huge breaks, which is always a possibility.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
2024 has been crazy with gossip and royal news and stuff.
Ugh.
And you probably hear this on the pod that my neighbor's rooster is going fucking crazy. But.
I just heard him. I remember when you first told me you had a rooster and like this light bulb went off over my head because we had been recording for months. And I was like, what is that noise in the background? I thought it was wind. That was a couple of years ago.
It's bad. But I've gotten used to it. And so I only really think about it when we're recording the podcast. I'm like, oh, that fucking rooster. But otherwise, I've completely blocked it out.
Do you know its name?
No. They have a bunch of like chickens and stuff.
They should give you eggs just because you put up with their rooster. Like, I don't really talk to them. I mean, we wave sometimes, but I'm not like you. I'm not super friendly with my neighbors. I'm only friendly with like two of them. I try to be friendly just because I want them all to like me and not... Okay, so since the last time we talked, we both saw American Fiction, and that is my favorite movie I've seen so far this award season and probably all year. I really loved it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I didn't love it as much as you did. See, I thought he was a very good, flawed protagonist, the character played by Jeffrey Wright. And Jeffrey Wright totally deserved his Oscar nomination. And like... it was wonderful to see him in that kind of role because he usually plays like really dark, disturbed, really super dramatic roles. And this was so much lighter.
It was a very good story and funny and clever. And it made you think, like it was entertaining and it made you think.
Yeah. My thing was that I was more on Issa Rae's character's side. Like when they were having their like argument about like the meaning of their art. Like, I was on her side. Like, there's nothing wrong with giving the market what it wants.
Yeah, that's our job, too. So you would,
Like, I wanted more of her. I wanted more of her story because I thought she was really cool.
She was cool. And you saw Zone of Interest and Poor Things, too. What did you think? I didn't see those yet.
Yeah. The Zone of Interest, like, I'd heard... a lot about it, obviously. So I went in knowing exactly what I was going to see. But even then, it's very disturbing. And like Sandra Hüller, like, okay, my favorite movie of the year was Anatomy of a Fall. And I love Sandra Hüller in it so much.
Yeah.
She did such a great job. And then to see her in Zone of Interest, I was like, oh my God, she's a fantastic actress. Because I fucking hated her.
We were talking about that. Like, we know somebody's a good actress when we
I wanted to smack the hell out of that woman. Oh, my God. In the Zone of Interest. I loved her in Anatomy.
I didn't like her that much in Anatomy of a Fall. I was like, oh, she's an evil...
Oh, she's not.
She's a little evil.
She's not. But she was totally evil in Zone of Interest. It's a very beautiful, like, visually arresting, beautiful film. And that makes you feel horrible, too.
Yeah.
But Poor Things was just funny and weird. And I went into it, once again, knowing what it was about and like knowing that Emma Stone has been winning all these awards. And I was like, does she really deserve it? No, she kind of does because she was fantastic in it.
I'll check it out. A lot of people thought The Lobster was weird. I liked that movie. I thought it was kind of fun. So I'm sure I'll like Poor Things.
I never saw The Lobster, but I liked The Favorite. Yeah. And Emma, this was like her showcase. It really was. Mark Ruffalo is wonderful in it. He's so funny. Willem Dafoe has some of the best lines. Yeah, it was just great.
Nice. Are you watching anything else right now?
Oh, yeah. So I've been watching Capote versus the Swans, the new season of Feud, which I'm not a big Ryan Murphy person.
Yeah, same.
But I fucking love Capote versus the Swans. The performances are incredible. Every episode, I'm like, holy shit, Naomi Watts and Tom Hollander are going to win so many awards for this.
I love her.
I'm not a Naomi Watts person. I know you really like her, but...
Yeah, she's so much fun for me. I don't know. I think because she was a Scream Queen originally.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, whatever. I don't hate her or anything. But, like, she is doing a fantastic job in this. And, like, you can tell that, like, she's the showcase swan. She plays Babe Paley. And they gave her the best wig, and she's got the best clothes. No, seriously, I'm in awe of her wig. They did such a good job with it. So much so that, like, I kind of think that the other swans got really bad hairstyles to make her wig look even better.
To make her look better. That could have been true.
Like, I don't know what they were doing to poor Diane Lane, but her hair looks horrible. Oh, my God. But, yeah, Chloe Sevigny is great in it, too. Callista Flockhart is playing Princess Lee Radziwill, and I don't know if it's the way Callista is playing her or if Lee Radziwill was really like this, but she's a total bitch. Like, she has no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
All right, I need to check it out.
But Tom Hollander is just doing a fantastic job, and he's going to win a lot of awards.
Nice. So Lily Gladstone, she won Best Actress at the SAGs and Spirit Awards. I think if we're going to talk about the Oscars for a minute, people worried that Emma Stone was going to swoop in because she had won a few awards and it was getting split.
Well, I have to tell you, now that I've seen Poor Things, I understand why Emma has been on such a run. And I understand why she's such a threat. I agree that Lily winning the SAG Awards, that's significant and that probably puts her ahead. But you also have to consider the fact that Emma has just come in with a huge amount of momentum, and it's well-deserved.
Okay.
Like, I didn't think Emma should have won for La La Land.
No, we both hated that movie.
She would have had such a compelling case to win her first Oscar for this role.
Yeah.
It really was such a showcase for her talent.
All right, let's talk about the royals. So... in our last podcast, we talked about Charles's cancer, and then Kate had disappeared at that point following her abdominal surgery. And as of the time we're recording this on Thursday afternoon on Leap Year Day, Kate hasn't been seen in over 60 days, and she hasn't really issued a statement about her condition, although we got a new snotty one today.
Yeah. A new snotty one. That's true. The Kensington Palace communications. Although Page 6 said it was from her rep, like she's represented by CAA or something. It was funny. It's like kind of slipping in some Americanism just so people understand what the fuck is going on, basically.
I was thinking about this. Like, they're the one feeding all the nasty Sussex stories to Page 6. So Page 6 has an in there. So then when they're like, okay, can we get an update on the princess's condition? They're like, duh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it could be. I think Page 6 will definitely print nasty stuff about the Sussexes that come straight from Kensington Palace. But I also think that Page 6 is owned by News Corp, which, you know, also owns The Sun and The Times. They're all working in concert. And I actually do think that Page 6 might have some, like, Sussex sources. They're not talking to Harry and Meghan, but they have some California sources.
Okay. So their statement was that, quote, Kensington Palace made it clear in January the timelines of the princess's recovery, and we'd only be providing significant updates. That guidance stands. And they say that she is, quote, doing well. And that's what William said when he backed out at the last minute of King Constantine's memorial, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah, and at this point, it's just like you're really just going to stick with this horrible communication strategy. Like, people are on the internet. They've been on the internet all friggin' week talking about all of the conspiracies around Kate's missing, and they can't manage their way out of a wet paper bag again.
Yeah.
That's like the story since Harry and Meghan left. It's just all shambolic all the time.
So we don't know what kind of cancer Prince Charles has or what stage he is or anything like that. But he put out a video last weekend where he's opening get well cards, and we've seen him doing the church walk a couple times. So he's doing a better job at keeping up appearances.
Yeah, I have no problems with the way Charles has handled his stuff from a communication standpoint. Like, he's the head of state. He's shown a tremendous amount of vulnerability about his condition. He's been calm. He's been a leader. You know, he's shown that, you know, he's still around. He's still working. Like, all of that is great. That's exactly what he should be doing.
Yes.
He's surrounded himself by people who know what they're doing in this narrow instance. And with Kate and William, it's just a fucking clown show.
You know, to speak to that clown show, William's moves have been really shambolic, like, to say the least. So I should mention that the Sussexes were just in Canada. They made a 3-day trip a couple weeks ago on February 15th. And, you know, they did a great job because they always do. And Harry was on Good Morning America. They launched their Sussex.com website. Meghan got a podcast deal with Lemonada Media. So we got a lot of positive coverage and photos of them and video.
Yeah, the Canadian trip went perfectly. Like, it was just positive story after positive story.
Except for, like, people bitching because they hold hands a lot.
Yeah, I forgot that. They were so evil for holding hands.
Yeah.
Oh, and the British media was so mad that Harry dared to mention his father or answer questions about his father.
And he was so
in the Good Morning America
about it. He was so diplomatic. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you.
And, like, that was it. And I thought the biggest news was that Harry was surprised to be asked about American citizenship. But, like, he obviously didn't want to talk about all of that stuff. Anyway, but, like, that's all the stuff that happened that just kept making William angrier and angrier. That all of these positive things were happening.
And he was briefing against Harry back and forth. Like, he'll never let Harry back, blah, 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 whatever. Like, Harry wants to come back. And then we heard that William, who's the president of BAFTA, was not going to go to the BAFTAs, which is pretty typical for him. Like, more times he doesn't go than goes. But right after Harry and Meghan did their trip and were getting so much press, William announced, oh, yeah, he's going to go.
And it was really last minute. And you could tell he was just doing it to get attention.
So at first this photo went viral where he's talking backstage to Phoebe Dynevor and Io Edebury and Sophie Wilde and Mia McKenna-Bruce. So Io was looking at him like, please, like really skeptically, and the other actresses are looking way uncomfortable. It turns out that William had likely at that point, we don't know the exact timing, but we heard later that he said to Mia McKenna-Bruce about her film, and her film was called How to Have Sex. He said to her, I haven't watched your film. I think it looked like you had a lot of fun all the way through, which is disgusting to say to somebody who, because they're in a film about sex. Like, it's, how is it fun to film sex, right? Supposedly.
Right. He's so childish that he just heard the name of the film and assumed that it was like a sexy romp.
And even if it was, why would that be fun to film? You know, you still have to do your job.
Why would a prince and the president of BAFTA say that to a young actress? It's inappropriate.
Yeah, it's inappropriate.
It's inappropriate for their ages. It's inappropriate for their positions.
And it's just dumbassery, for real. But it turns out that her character at the end of the film is raped, which makes it even worse. Like, it was already despicable and terrible, but it makes it worse. And he told everyone that he watched none of the movies that they were in. Like, come on.
No, he said he watched Oppenheimer. That was the only one, apparently.
Yeah, but none of the movies that the actresses he met were in.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
You could justify it by saying, oh, he doesn't have time to watch all of the movies, even though he's the president of BAFTA. But, like, to not even read a summary, like, to not even kind of acquaint yourself with what the nominees are up to and why they're nominated.
Yeah.
Like, how fucking lazy are you? Well, the guy is, I think, barely literate, but anyway.
Yeah, and he had a couple days. Like, the BAFTAs were on February 18th. He announced on the 16th he was going to go. He could have watched, done something. You're right, done his homework.
Just read some summaries. For goodness sake, have your staff prepare some summaries.
Watch the trailer. So then, that was on Sunday. And then on Tuesday the 20th, William issued a statement on the Middle East crisis, which, like, nobody wanted to know his thoughts on that, for real. And it had that whole I'm sick of it energy that he brings to every important issue.
He centers himself every time he tries to talk about something important.
Yes.
He's always like, I hate racism. No, you don't understand, you guys. I'm so bored of racism.
Yeah, it was bad. And so he got this new private secretary, and it's clear the person is letting him give in to his bad instincts, or that the secretary is like telling him to issue these statements. I don't know what's going on, but whatever, it's a bad look.
Yeah, and it was so unnecessary to issue the statement given what he was trying to do, which was simply draw attention to like the humanitarian side of what's happening in Israel and Gaza. He could have just gone to the British Red Cross and like issued a statement about the work that the Red Cross is doing. You didn't have to make it super political.
Exactly. And then today, on Thursday, he went to an event at a synagogue in central London to talk about anti-Semitism with people. And you were writing that Kate was supposed to originally be there, and that it was supposed to happen on Holocaust Memorial Day.
Yeah, she's the one who has been more involved with Holocaust stuff, with anti-Semitic stuff. And I'm saying that as a compliment. I'm like, she's actually pretty good at that. Like,
with the older people love her. Yeah.
Yeah, older people love her. And I remember she did this like kind of a cool event one fall, I think it was like 2 years ago, where she like kind of went on a boat ride with a few Holocaust survivors, and like she had a really nice conversation with them, and they really liked her.
Yeah. So he did that, and to get back to I don't know what to say.
He wore a yarmulke and he looked like an asshole, whatever.
Yeah, he looked perplexed. So after he issued that statement on the 20th, we got a story from Piers Morgan about how William drank wine in front of him when William was 13, which seemed like a real pointed message from Camilla to step off. I don't know.
I don't know if it came from Camilla or if it just came from Piers, like, talking shit. I don't know. Piers has been sketchy as hell lately. I don't even know what he's doing half the time or who he's really working for. He obviously loathes Harry, but he had to know that story about William drinking when he was 13 was a bad story for William.
Yeah. And I mean, but William is really good at making his own bad press. He doesn't need anybody else.
And it was especially bad, Piers' story, because it came just days after William was visibly swaying and looked drunk as fuck or hungover as hell at an investiture ceremony at Windsor Castle.
Yeah, he did look really... So there is the question, like, is he sober enough to do events? Because of that investiture ceremony where he took over for his father, and he's clearly not able to do that. He's unprepared and makes huge gaffes. Oh, I have to say, if you are not signed up for our mailing list, you can get the top 10 stories about Prince William's biggest gaffes. And I only send one email a day on weekdays. Yeah, so if you're listening to this and you're not signed up, just check it out. It's in any of the latest podcast posts. There's a sign up at the bottom. So earlier this week, that was on Tuesday, the 27th, there was a memorial service in London for King Constantine of Greece. He passed last year, and they had the funeral for him in Greece. But Charles didn't go, and William didn't go to that. And Charles announced ahead of time that he wasn't able to make it to this memorial, which is understandable. He's doing cancer treatment. It was kind of iffy as to whether William would go, but supposedly he was confirmed ahead of time, and he was scheduled to give a reading.
Yeah, and he was on the program, too.
Okay. And then they announced that he couldn't make it, like at the last minute it was, and that he had called Constantine's family to tell them. And it was said to be due to a personal matter, and that Kate was doing well. And that's it. That's yeah. And so then it became international news.
Yeah, it's become the story of the week, how William was too lazy, too drunk, too something to come to this. So a few things. Constantine is William's godfather.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
And William had absolutely no reason to not go to the funeral in Athens last January 2023.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have anything on his schedule back then. Like, Charles skipping it made sense because Charles didn't want his first overseas trip to be to a family funeral.
Yes.
But that's the kind of thing the Prince of Wales should do, especially if the Prince of Wales is going to the funeral of his godfather. But William was too lazy to go to that. And now it turns out William is too lazy or something to even walk a few yards from Adelaide Cottage to St. George's Chapel to go to his godfather's memorial service. He announced that he was canceling his appearance less than an hour before he was supposed to arrive.
Damn. I got this big truck delivering me something that I bought myself, so it's gonna...
So yeah, William's absence was a huge story. And my thing, and I said this on Twitter, is that I don't think that he realized that it would become international news.
Because he's so used to getting away with whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, he thought it would be a local story. He thought he could just cancel at the last minute, that the British press would cover for him, and that it would just be like this minor little thing. And it blew up because Charles has cancer and Kate has been missing for over 60 days. And everyone's like, what the fuck is going on?
It's making the monarchy look really weak. So at that service, Prince Andrew and Fergie were up front with Camilla. Like, that looks terrible, but they don't care. Like, so Spanish royals came, and Queen Nora of Jordan came, and a lot of the other British royals, like the secondary people. I think the Princess Anne and her husband were there, Azara and Mike Tyndall were there. But, like, they are perfectly fine with putting Andrew up for consumption again.
Yeah. He was literally in the front row with Camilla and Anne. His chest was all puffed out, like he was back in the family. He was back representing everyone. He let everyone know that the Greeks personally invited him.
That toxic family, they value loyalty over everything else. It doesn't matter what crimes that he's committed. They value loyalty, and he's the loyal piece of shit.
I would argue that he hasn't even been that loyal, but whatever.
You're probably right.
I'm serious.
No, okay. That's cool. You're probably right. So also at the service were Prince and Princess Michael of Kent, and you might remember her as the bitch who wore the Blackamoor brooch to the luncheon with Meghan. So she's a piece of work.
She's a well-known racist. Like, she has millions of racist incidents, even before the brooch thing. Oh, so their daughter is Lady Gabriella Windsor. And in 2019, Lady Ella, she goes by Ella, she married Thomas Kingston. And they had a lovely wedding. It looked a lot like the Sussexes' wedding.
Yeah.
And they've just been kind of a quiet couple ever since. Like, they show up at some of the bigger royal events, but, like, not too many. They do their own thing. I have no idea where they live. Yeah, and then the terrible news that came just hours after Constantine's memorial was that Thomas Kingston passed away. Yeah, so Thomas Kingston passed away on Sunday. There were no announcements about it until Tuesday, several hours after the memorial. And the announcement came by two different family announcements, one by King Charles and Camilla, and then one by the Kingston family with Ella.
So we heard later that he passed away at his parents' home in Gloucester, and that the Kents wanted to keep the news private, at least for a couple more days before it got out.
And I'm not sure about any of that, because while the Kents were close to the Greek royals, like, no one would have checked for them. No one would have missed them if they had missed the memorial. Like, it's not like, oh my God, where, Prince Michael and his bitch wife. No one would have said that. They've been semi-retired for several years now. They were forced into semi-retirement because they were such embarrassments. Yeah, the whole thing was just weird. That being said, Ella did not go to the memorial, obviously, even though Constantine was her godfather as well. And her brother, Lord Frederick Windsor, he did not go. And the Telegraph reported that Frederick was with Ella, that he was, helping to look after her. And
then we heard that the fact that William didn't go last minute was, quote, not connected to the news of Mr. Kingston's sudden death. Why do you have to point that out? You could have let us assume, and then it would make him look like he was grieving or supporting Ella or something like that.
The addition of William, whoever decided to put him in the Kingston death story, it was crazy because it was in the same news cycle as, oh my God, Ella's husband passed away. And William had nothing to do with it. That's not why he missed the memorial. Like, oh my God.
It's awkward. It's a little sketch, but I hope that their family's doing okay.
All of the reporting around Kingston's death is very odd, and the way the royals are acting about it, it's very odd too.
It's kind of how they're acting around Kate.
Yeah.
Like they're not giving any details. The way they dealt with Charles's illness and diagnosis was good. Like they just gave us some minimal details. He issued a couple statements. We got to see him a little bit. We don't need to know exactly what kind of cancer he has or what stage it is, even though he's the king. You know, I mean, I would argue that they should disclose that, but they don't have to. They haven't even given us the bare minimum with Kate.
Yeah, I think you could make the case that Charles should disclose more, even though I think he's doing a very good job communicating what's going on. You can say both things are true. He's doing a good job communicating what's going on, and he could disclose more. He is the head of state, after all. And I think everything that Charles and Camilla have done just revealed the utter clown show of Will and Kate's operations, and how poorly Kensington Palace has handled everything around Kate.
And they've shown again and again that they are not prepared to be king and queen. Even before the queen died, they were saying, oh, we should be the next in line. You know, and they don't want that. They don't want to work. They don't want to work. They don't know how to work. They don't know how to do the bare minimum of decorum. At least William doesn't. And Kate knows how to talk around it in some word salad.
Kate's pretty bad at it too, actually. But
yeah, the bar is low.
I keep thinking about this like Daily Beast story from last year where, you know, sources close to William were like, William's not eager to be king, but he expects his father to start giving him more power over time. And like, I thought, you know, that's the real thing with William and Charles. Like Charles was so fucking power hungry. He could not wait for his mother to die. He could not wait to be king. He could not wait to be, you know, acting regent. He was doing everything he could to get more and more power and like hold on to it with both hands. And William just expects to be handed things.
Yeah, he's not working for it at all. That's the story. That's the story in the mainstream news now, that you know, William is MIA, and well, William does a little bit and makes an ass of himself, and Kate is MIA, and the monarchy is crumbling.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Camilla's like, aha, I won.
I mean, I keep thinking about Scobie's book, and like, he called it Endgame, and everything has just fallen to shit ever since it was published. I mean, it's been falling to shit for the past 4 years, ever since Harry and Meghan left, but it's happening really fast.
Yeah, it is. If the monarchy doesn't fall, and I don't think it will, I hope that Charles lives a long life, because even though he takes bribes and he's like very corrupt, you know, at least he's this unifying force somewhat. He has some of his mother's attributes in that way, and William has none.
One thing I'll give Charles is that he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's not caught off guard by anything. He's an educated man. He's an intelligent man. I would say he's conniving and...
yeah, corrupt.
He's not a good man.
Yeah.
He's a dogshit father, but he's an
you
intelligent...
You can get the top stories about Charles's cash for access scandal if you sign up for our mailing list. I'll put the link in the podcast for this post. I can't remember whether it's 8 or 10 stories, but you'll get the top stories about that.
Yeah, he's pretty corrupt.
Yeah, he's bad. All right, let's move on to the comments of the week.
All right, my comment of the week is from the story about how Prince Harry, quote unquote, lost his high court challenge for security, blah, blah, blah. It's been a long-running, years-long process of Harry trying to get some sort of accountability and answers for why his family lost their royal protection in 2020. The High Court was basically like, fuck you, you don't deserve any answers, you don't deserve any of this. But Harry succeeded at getting a lot of shit on the record, and he got some answers that he was looking for. Anyway, so Walking the Walk commenter, Walking the Walk, wrote, well, now we know no one is seeing Meghan or those kids in the UK ever again. Maybe for C. Rex's funeral. That's about it. And that's true. Like, if they're gonna dig in their heels about security and all this stuff, fine. You know, Meghan's never going to bring those kids over again. Now that Queen Elizabeth is dead, she has no reason to. Queen Elizabeth was the only person left there that Meghan gave a shit about.
You know, you don't want her to. You want her to and the kids to be safe.
Yeah.
They're huge targets. And that's smart of them, you know.
And I guess the British, what is it called? Like their version of the Pentagon. They're trying desperately to get the Invictus Games back in Britain. And they put a bid in for like a Birmingham Invictus Games. And I hope that Harry just says, absolutely not. If I can't be safe, if my family can't be safe at the Invictus Games, we're absolutely not coming.
The royal family doesn't even congratulate the winners of the Invictus Games.
They won't even say good luck. They won't even tweet that.
They're so petty. They're so petty.
How?
And I was like, look, we took the little patches off Harry's jacket.
That was one of the stupidest things, that they're so fucking stupid that the royal family Twitter account couldn't just say, oh, by the way, good luck to Team Britain's Invictus team. You know, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
They are so bad. So my comment of the week is from Rosie's post on the Willy Wonka kids experience in Scotland that went viral because they used AI images to advertise it, and it was just sparse and scary for the kids, and they only gave them like 2 jelly beans and a tiny bit of lemonade. So Christine said, this entire debacle has been the comedy gold my mental health didn't know it needed. By the time Twitter linked Kate Middleton to this, I had rivers of tears from laughing so hard. Every now and then the universe knows we are collectively at our wits' end and we get something like this. That was a funny ass story. Oh my gosh.
I didn't think it was all that. Like, there have been funnier viral stories. I just felt bad for everyone involved. That poor woman in the terrible wig handing out jelly beans. I felt really sorry for her.
The guy who played Willy Wonka has been going to talk shows in Scotland and talking about it. And he was like, yeah, the script was AI generated. It was rubbish. They made up this scary guy who, like an evil chocolatier who lived in the walls and jumped out and scared kids. It was just so bad. Oh my gosh. It's like the Kiddie Fire Festival. That's what Rosie wrote. All right. Well, thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.